Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Confetti Conversations. Hayley's got the giggles. We tried for about 5 minutes to start the podcast, and Hayley's just got the giggles. So anyway, we're going to crack on, and she can just laugh her way through it.
Yay!
So this is our third podcast.
Yep.
And today, we're going to start at the very beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning.
I knew you were going to do that, and it's still annoying me. Anyway.
Oh, sorry.
Roll the intro.
Hello and welcome to Confetti Conversations,
The podcast where me and my sister talk all things weddings, wedding planning, and married life.
I'm a professional podcaster.
She's back. She's a professional podcaster.
Yep.
This is only episode 3, but she's a professional podcaster, guys.
It's not my fault. I'm so funny.
And also, I like the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me in my eye.
I'm sorry, I'm not an optician anymore. I'm a professional podcaster. I can't help you. I can't help you anymore.
True. Anyway, my eyes are fine. Hayley's a professional podcaster, and here we are for episode number 3.
Let's go.
Can't believe it.
We are talking about the very beginning.
The beginning of the wedding planning process.
Yes. What was the first thing you did?
The first thing we did, I booked that many venue tours. I can't even, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. We didn't.
No,
book
you
that
didn't
many.
do as many as we did.
I looked at loads online.
Yeah.
We had a really specific thing that we wanted to get married in a church.
Yeah.
As did you.
Well, I knew where I was going to get married. That was never a question. I was getting married where mom and dad got married.
Yeah.
That was not a question. It was the venue afterwards that was a question, and then limited us because we didn't want to be any further than 30 minutes away from the church.
Yes.
So we then had to search within a 30-minute radius. When we first started looking, I could have been persuaded to have got married in the venue had it been the right one.
Yeah.
But I really wanted a church. So first thing we did was look at venues. We went to about 6 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up being the first one that we saw.
Yeah.
So that was job number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you were pretty similar to us.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, venues was first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I put a colour scheme together that I wanted.
Well, see,
before I even got married.
Yeah, I was about to say this. I think we then confirmed the colour scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was having a spring wedding, I wanted a spring colour scheme, similar to you.
Yeah.
Because you're having an autumn wedding, you wanted an autumn colour scheme. And I think I'd always wanted peach, because when I used to work at a florist years ago, she did a wedding that had these gorgeous pink peach flowers in them, and I just adored them. And they were everything I wanted, and I decided then that peach was my colour.
This is before we even knew Sam existed.
Oh, I was 15. I was 15. That's when I decided that peach was my colour, when I was 15. And it just so happens that Sam's favourite colour is orange. So I kind of
away with it.
Convinced him that peach was orange. And it is, technically.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of convinced him that was his
idea.
Input. Yeah. But realistically, I'd wanted it all my life. And then I wanted a colour that went with that, and it ended up being sage green.
Yeah.
So peach and sage green were my colours, with a bit of gold.
Yes.
And that was sort of that was my starting point, and that was sort of where I went from there, really. Mm-hmm. And I think the venue did dictate that a little bit.
Because of, the styling.
Because with it being a marquee, it was very outside. Mm-hmm. Like, all the sides were open.
Yeah.
They weren't open on the day because it rained, but they were, you could see through them.
Yeah, you could see out.
So it was very much a very green space. Yeah. And I felt that I wanted to sort of in keep with that countryside, rustic feel.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where I think the venue informed the theming, but the colour scheme was always what I wanted.
Yeah. I think the initial thing for us actually was choosing when, because you knew when you wanted it, and you had to choose a venue that would fit
Had
that.
our date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, we had a big conversation. Ellis would have preferred a summer wedding. We've actually booked autumn.
He did want a summer wedding, didn't he?
Yeah. So
yeah,
actually for the saving we made by going from, instead of like August, September or July, August, September to going into October, we've saved a lot of money.
Yeah, see, we were right at the beginning of the wedding season.
Yeah.
So we were sort of, wasn't quite full price. There was still some discounts, but it was more expensive than sort of later on in the year would be, or earlier.
Yeah.
There's sort of a period of time between probably October and March, April, where venues tend to discount the prices because less people want to get married on those days.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something to consider if you're, when you're planning your wedding, is in terms of budget as well, is you can save a heck of a lot of money by getting married in those months.
Yeah.
And also getting married on a weekday.
Yeah.
We both chose Saturdays.
We have, yeah.
Because I personally always wanted a Saturday wedding.
Same.
And I think that to me was kind of a non-negotiable, and we had to consider the price of it within the planning.
Budget, yeah. No, absolutely. And going back to what you said about having the church wedding, we knew we wanted a church wedding as well, so that dictated things as well.
You did, yeah.
But weirdly, we both would have quite happily got married in our home churches. And I say home churches like we go all the time, we don't, but we consider them our home church.
Yeah.
But actually, we've gone for somewhere that has a church on site.
I think that was nice for you two having that option because you both wanted a church wedding. That was almost a non-negotiable, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But having the neutral church, when you both probably would have liked to have got married in your own church.
Yeah. Worked perfectly.
It did. Yeah, it did. So that helped.
A lovely little church.
Yeah, it is. That helped sort of with you in terms of finding your venue.
Absolutely made a big difference. So that helped. But yeah, that's kind of where we were. We had to choose when.
Yeah.
And then I think once we went to the first venue, we had the pricing. And Elle could then see, like, as much as I could tell him, until he saw it and spoke through it with someone, he didn't really get how different the pricing was at different times of year.
Yeah, and I think he'd sort of got his head set on something, and he was like, no, I want this, and you were like, that's fine, but consider this.
Yeah.
And like you said, until he'd seen it written down, he was like,
yeah, and what we could do with that extra cash.
Yes.
Because it's not that we had to save that money.
No.
But that means we couldn't have had other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably kind of where we started. And the next thing for me was my bridal party.
Yeah.
I think that's where I went to next.
Yeah.
And I kind of had it in my head for a long time.
Yeah.
And then that was the next thing we did.
Yeah, you did do that actually.
You did yours a lot later than me.
Mine was a lot later because I was having so many bridesmaids. I decided that I needed time to really, like, I knew I wanted them, but I think outside pressures were making me think I didn't want all of them.
You wanted all of those people, but it was just that you had a lot of people.
Yeah, but there was people saying to me, you can't have 9 bridesmaids, you can't have 9 bridesmaids. And I was like, but I want 9 bridesmaids. And I think the outside influences stopped me from picking, doing my bridal party early on.
Yeah.
So I think it was like, I'm not sure if I can. But actually, guys, if you want 9 bridesmaids, have 9 bridesmaids.
Absolutely.
If you want no bridesmaids, have no bridesmaids. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't have.
No. And
that, for me, one tip with wedding planning that is invaluable, it's your day. It is your day. Only you and your future husband or future wife, or, it doesn't matter what's happening, so long as the pair of you are happy and on the same page. That's all that matters. Absolutely. And nobody else's opinion matters.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I did get to, but initially I did let other people's opinions not dictate what I did, because I very much knew what I wanted and did what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I think I let outside opinions sort of wobble my confidence in my vision.
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I was going to do, and I ended up doing it. But I did let people wobble my vision, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people go through.
Yeah, I agree. I think you make a decision about what you want on your own, and you air it to the world, and that could be about literally anything, and everyone will have an opinion.
Yeah.
You just have to be strong-minded enough when you're doing a wedding to take the opinions on board. And I think you were really good. You took the opinions on board, you considered them, and you're like, no, I've made the right choice for me.
Yeah.
Whereas we could have it for a different thing, say, I don't know, flowers, for example.
Yeah.
You know flowers, but I could have an idea of what I want, but you could say, actually, if you consider it this way, this could be more cost effective, this could be look more refined, whereas I'd probably throw them together. But I don't necessarily have to take your opinion straight away.
No.
Go away and think about it, and then think, this is how I'm going to do it. And you have to do that, because everyone who has planned a wedding will know how they planned a wedding, and you've got to do it yourself.
And it's very individual. It's really individual. Like, our weddings, in a lot of ways, have similarities because we're similar. Similar? We're can't even
similar. Similar.
Similar.
Similar.
Similar?
Oh no, similar.
Similar. We're good Lord. We're definitely similar people. We are very, very
similar.
We're not. That word doesn't sound real anymore.
It's a real word.
We have differences, but a lot about our weddings have been the same, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but even that, I would never say to you, I've said, have you thought about this? And you're like, no, I don't want that. And I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah.
Like, it's your wedding at the end of the day. And even though I've planned a wedding with aspects that are the same, doesn't mean that what I did is Bible.
Ooh, Bible. Going about a bit of the Bible in there.
No, it's more like the Kardashians.
That's what I mean.
Bible.
Yeah. There's things as well, like, that are exactly the same. Our photographer is the same person.
But we both decided we wanted her at the same wedding.
Yes.
We went to a wedding.
I'm getting married.
Yeah, same venue that Hayley's getting married at. We met her for the first time, and just her energy was just incredible. So that was a no-brainer. And yeah, one of the first things we did when we got our dates was message her. So I guess moving on from that, we chose some, not all of our suppliers, sort of early on.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. I had a limitation, again, this will come to venue, on who I could have catering wise.
So did we. A lot of venues only use approved caterers.
Yeah.
And I understand why. And it's because it's their reputation. If you hire a bad caterer, you might then say that you've had a bad experience, and it might look badly on the venue.
But it's nothing to do with
But it's got nothing to do with the venue. So I understand why they have approved caterers. A lot of venues that don't have in-house catering do that.
Yeah, and it's been fine.
Yeah. And there's normally something for everybody.
We've actually just booked our tasting.
Oh, have you?
End of November, 24th of November.
Oh, the tasting was great. But again, we'll get on to that. But that's cool.
Yeah, it's just booked.
That is cool.
So, yeah, so the photographer's the same. I think that's the next thing we did. And then music. What else have I done? Dress. But I feel like we've done a lot. We've done a lot of the big things, and we're quite organised in that sense.
Yeah.
It's now just putting everything together. And I saw a video on TikTok, and this girl said that she did wedding Wednesdays in the lead up to her wedding. So every Wednesday she did something towards the wedding.
Yeah.
Whether that was just looking at reviewing the guest list.
Yeah.
Planning how she wanted the invitations, then designing the invitations, then printing the invitations.
Yeah.
And she just did something every Wednesday, and then it increased to a couple of days, getting closer, and then obviously in the big build-up she did more.
Yeah.
but it just meant she was constantly doing something, but it wasn't too much. And I think that was a really good idea, which is something I've taken on board.
Yes, for me, I actually did the bulk early on.
Here,
I did a lot here, but then me and Sam moved into a flat because we needed space to do the planning, and we did a lot of our planning very early on. And I think there was I would have said 90% of the stuff was done before Christmas. Before we got married, the Christmas before we got married, 90% of the stuff was done. So we had about 5 months where I was just doing the last bits.
Yeah.
The things that took a long time, like the order of services, they had to be a bit later on because we had to wait for the things from the vicar. There's certain things that you can't do all in one go, but the big things that I knew I wanted, I got quite early on. And there were some bits I was buying from like charity shops and stuff like that. And that was something that was a slower process that I just had to keep chipping away at.
Yeah, you were really good with that, with hunting for charity shops. And you spent a long time doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas I've been quite fortunate that I found on Facebook Marketplace someone that was selling something that I wanted, which if I hadn't have found it from her, I would have had to have gone and do the hunting. But she did it for me effectively. She beat me to it.
Yeah.
And weirdly, we knew her.
Yeah, yeah. There's loads of things out there that you can do. For example, I'm selling my wedding stuff now, and it's taken me a long time because I'm emotionally attached to all of my wedding stuff.
Yeah, but it's a big day.
It's taken me a long time to get rid of a lot of it, but a lot of people do sell their stuff on Facebook Marketplace, put stuff in charity shops. And as a way to be more sustainable, that was something I wanted to do. There were certain things that I couldn't do more sustainably.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, I mean, I guess I've been sustainable with everything because even things I've bought, I've then sold and they've been used for someone else. So that to me was important, to be sustainable with my buying. I wanted to make sure that everything was from either a charity shop or it was then getting sold, so I knew that
Or you've repurposed it for decoration for your house.
Yeah, a lot of stuff has been put in my house as decoration. So a lot of stuff has been repurposed in that way. But that was important to me because that way also I could justify the money.
Yeah.
Because I could be like, well, that's going to be sold, so I'll get that back in my pocket. That's going to be furniture in my house, so that's like, I was going to buy that anyway.
Yeah. No, it's worked really well. And that's things that I'm considering when buying stuff.
Yeah.
I think your venue was much more of a blank canvas. Mine's got, not more character, I don't think that's the right word, but it's decorated.
Yeah, I think.
So I don't need maybe necessarily as much.
Yeah, I think for me, decorations were the most important part. Not the most important part. I've said this before. Marrying Sam was the most important part.
Second to that.
But for me, because I'm creative and because I wanted to put my stamp on it, I think no matter where I'd have got married, if I were to get married at your venue, I could tell you all the things I would do in there.
Yeah.
But not my wedding. If you want me to tell you what I would do, I would. Yeah. But I'm not going to volunteer because I don't want to be like, well, I would do it this way. Because that's not what it's about.
No.
It's about your vision and what you want. But for me, I probably would have put as the same decorations in any venue.
Fair enough.
Because that's what I wanted. But then people call my house cluttered because I like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, mine's the show home.
I like cozy. I like things on the walls. I like lots of decorations.
You've always done that though. As a kid, like your bedroom wall was covered.
Yeah, but that's me, and I think I put that into the wedding.
Yeah,
by having a lot of things. I had different displays of different bits and bobs. I put a lot into it. In that respect, I put a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
in there.
But that again was an initial planning thing for you.
Oh, I knew most of that stuff before I'd even. Yeah. The early days, I'd decided that I wanted like this display and that display. It was just how it was going to be. I've got like pieces of paper that I was working in an office at the time, and I would like draw out the venue, and I would plot where things would be, and that was early days.
Yeah.
That I was plotting where the things would be. I wouldn't necessarily know what they'd look like.
Yeah.
But I knew what I wanted.
The type of displays.
Yeah.
Almost like a schoolroom. Your display boards.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a schoolroom, but sure.
This is on World War One.
No, it was just bits that showed off our character.
Yeah, no, it did.
And bits that, were personal to us. And
That's good.
And it made it, and that's like you said, something that was in the initial stages.
Yeah.
And that's where you're at now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking of decorations, planning where we want them, and just looking at ideas for different things, because we're not as creative as you are.
But you know your own, you know what you like.
Yeah, exactly. And we went back to the wedding venue 3 weeks ago, and had a look round, so we've got a bit more of an idea again about where we want to put things. But again, that's personal preference.
Oh yeah,
you don't have to decorate.
No, and like you said, some venues don't need anything.
No.
And most venues, my venue, you could absolutely have left it completely blank if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it would have still looked gorgeous.
The views of what it was for yours, isn't it?
These venues are purpose built for weddings, and they're purpose built to look beautiful no matter what.
Yeah.
So I really don't think no venue necessarily needs.
No, I agree.
Decorations.
Totally agree.
It just depends what you want.
Yeah.
Once we'd sort of decided on suppliers, venues, you've got your dress, because it's but about a year out they say to get your dress, don't they? So that you're sort of at that stage now. You're a year out. And I wonder where I was a year out. I can't really remember how far I'd got.
We just after were doing your dress.
My dress was just after a year. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? We'd done our first. I think my first wedding dress shopping was like a week before the year. So
yeah, I was a bit earlier. I was a couple months before, wasn't I? I got mine in August.
August?
Yeah. 17th of August.
Wow.
I don't think we necessarily expected me to get mine then.
I didn't.
But I love it.
I didn't. Yeah. Yeah, it is gorgeous. But anyway, again, another podcast.
Yeah, I think you can look at planning and initial stages, and we bought a lovely little book by one of our friends for planning, and it's in my handbag all the time.
Yeah.
Notes get written in it daily. I downloaded one on my iPad because I'm an iPad girly.
You are, yeah.
I have that there, and it's got my mood boards on. You made a little folder.
I did, yeah. I think, like you said, there's millions of different ways to start the planning process.
Yeah.
And whether you do it on a digital document, whether a lot of mine was just
like a scrapbook.
Well, yeah, but then I also just did random pieces of paper.
Yeah.
So I just get a white piece of paper and scribble out what I wanted on it, write lists on white pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Majority of mine was in my head.
Yeah.
And I had a difficult time getting it down on paper.
Yes.
And therefore people couldn't see the vision.
Yeah, me and Mom sometimes struggled with a few things, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I think mine is I have to be able to see it to be able to create it.
Yeah. And in general, you're a lot more academic.
Yeah.
And I am a lot more creative.
Absolutely.
So I do a lot more like mental thinking about it in my head and visualization, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And for you, it makes more sense to see it on a page and for it to be in front of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it makes a massive difference. Things like budgets as well.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really struggled to get my head around, didn't I? And I had to keep asking you, like, can you show me?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to consider in my budget, how to guess.
Yeah.
And how to then, obviously, then when you get your figures, it's easier.
Yeah.
Everyone scares you, don't they, by saying in the last 6 months, they're just going to keep saying you need to pay for this, you need to pay for this, you need to pay for this. So I'm trying to be very aware of that.
I think one tip that because me and Sam didn't feel any major pressure when it came to the money side of it.
Yeah,
we were really lucky that everything just sort of happened. I think because I bought a lot of decorations early,
which
like
what
you
I've
have
started to do, yeah.
So that money is spent.
Yeah.
all of your deposits are done really early.
And my deposits were fairly high.
Yeah. So that obviously is a chunk of money. But my biggest sort of a piece of advice, I guess, would be have that money there ready to go so that last couple of months is, right, you need to pay this now. Okay, paid.
Done, yeah.
Right, you need to, and obviously everybody's situation is different and it's not as easy as that.
No.
But if you can forward plan as much as possible, so you know, and I think that's sort of, I can be quite money minded as well.
You're good like that, yeah, definitely.
And I think I knew exactly what had to go out and when it had to go out.
Yeah.
And that then meant that nothing was ever a surprise.
There's a weird time though when you book things and then you get closer, then you get the dates of when things have got to be paid for.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't get, like, if I've done my house insurance, for example, today, you know, if you pay it monthly, you pay this much every month. Or if you pay it up front, you paid, and that's how much it is.
Yeah.
Whereas with things like catering, for example, you can book them, but you don't know what your budget, your official quote is going to be
until you final numbers.
Until you firstly choose what menu you want.
True.
Because the menus are different.
Yeah. True.
And then secondly, your initial numbers.
Yeah.
But then you actually don't know until your final numbers a few weeks before.
Yeah.
So that's quite hard to get your head round.
Yeah. I think go worst case scenario.
Oh yeah, always.
And then it actually won't be quite as
scary.
Daunting.
Exactly. But yeah, that's just a weird thing to get your head around when you're initially planning.
100%.
Is figuring out how the budget will work. Yeah. I suppose if you have a wedding planner, it might be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there now with that bit. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're definitely. Well, you're doing it. You have to, I guess.
I'm doing it.
And that's something that both of us didn't do, is get a wedding planner. Neither of us have a wedding planner. And I was really lucky, and you're the same, I believe, is I had a great day of coordinator. Yeah. And he did a lot of it. And also my photographer, she did a lot to sort of keep the day moving. Yeah, she is good. She's just amazing like that, isn't she? So a lot of it I didn't necessarily have to worry about. No. It sort of just, and the planning side, I wanted to do all that myself anyway. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I agree. And I don't know, and I don't think I'll know till a lot closer what my day off coordinator will be like. No. Oh no, we didn't really. I don't think we even, like, we'd met him quite early on, but we didn't know that he was going to be our day off coordinator, because they have different ones. Yeah, that's what I've heard. But they're all like, they're 90%. Well, I don't know any that haven't been good. But then the day of coordinator, it's not their job to plan your wedding. No, it's to make the day go how you want it. Yeah. So, and then in that respect, this can be something we can talk about properly another time. But then it's whether you give them all of the details of, you do have to give them all the suppliers and everything like that. Did you do like a day off binder? I was going to. Yeah, I've already started mine. I was going to, but I just ran out of time and energy, and I knew everything and I wasn't stressed about it, and I was very lucky that nothing went wrong. Yeah. Like it didn't worry me, but I do think there's certain things that I do think it's a good idea. Yeah, I think it's I think it also is a good idea to give like bridesmaids a role. Yeah, and be like, if this goes wrong, this is your job. Yeah, yeah. If this person doesn't turn up, it's your job to contact them. Yeah. So that you don't have to do it. And that's something that I would recommend. Yeah, no, I'm going to do that for sure. We are both very type A, but I'm on that side. Yeah. That's just me all over. Yeah, yeah. 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 And I think for me, it was my baby, and I was not willing to let it go, I think was my problem. So I feel like that was kind of a bit of a rambly, all over the place chat. But that is wedding planning. It is. But that's sort of just to catch up on where Hayley's at in your wedding planning journey so far. Yeah. Bits and bobs that I've done. Yeah. Initially where we both started. Yes. I think that is a nice place to sort of round everything off. We're going to take you along on Hayley's complete journey from now on. Yep. In real time. I know. What's happening when, kind of thing. We're also just going to chat to you about the different things that we've done during our wedding planning journeys separately. Different topics we'd like to cover, maybe have some conversations with other brides. Yeah. That's where we're at. That's
good.
That's what we're up to. And we will see you for episode number 4.
Madness.
Yeah, episode number 4. How exciting.
Very, very, very.
But for now, I'm Philippa.
I'm Hayley.
And this was Confetti Conversations. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.